I worked as a pin-up model for various advertising agencies for over 20 years. I often came to the USA for this reason, partly because of my job. I also experienced part of Route 66 there. When I got a glimpse of the flair of the road, even if only briefly, I was hooked on the route, like many of you probably were. That's why it was clear to me that if time allowed, I would drive the entire route at least once. Hi, I'm Babette from Rocky, and this is my companion, the Route Bear. We would like to invite you on our journey on Route 66 across America. From Chicago, Illinois to Santa Monika in California. In episode 14, I'm traveling in the Panhandle state of Texas. I'll tell you the stories of the cinemas and theaters, visit a very large pilgrimage site, and meet beetles and tractors. I am traveling on Route 66 in McLean, Texas. The small town has only about 700 residents, but lots to explore. Route 66 is 300 kilometers long here in Texas. My first stop is in the middle of the main street in front of the Avalon Theater. It is located in an Art Deco building. It was built in the 1930s during the heyday when the oil boom made the area rich. After 50 years in operation, it had to close in 1997 and is now a roadside attraction that is unfortunately slowly falling into disrepair. Unfortunately, the screen is completely missing, but this allows travelers to take a look inside the theater. It had room for 450 film fans. The decay of the building could no longer be stopped. The owner wanted to at least save the facade. The Rialto Square Theatre is also known as the Jewel of Joliet. It is considered one of the most beautiful theatres in the country. The building reflects Greek, Roman, and Byzantine architecture. It was opened in 1926, right on Route 66, and was originally designed and operated as a vaudeville movie palace. The lobby is modeled on the Hall of Mirrors in the Palace of Versailles in Paris. Initially, only silent films were shown. The musical accompaniment was a 28-step Barton Theatre organ, which is still in use today. Al Capone is said to have been a regular guest at the time. Today, there are tours of the entire theatre for $5. Along Route 66, I came across several movie palaces and theatres. Each of these theatres has its own history and contributes to the rich cultural landscape along this famous road. The Majestic Theatre is a historic theatre in East St. Louis. It was built in 1928 to replace the theatre that burned down in 1907 on the same site. The Spanish Gothic Theatre was also called the $1 Million Theatre due to the high construction costs. Trees are now growing out of the exterior facade. The Coleman Theatre is located directly on Historic Street. The exterior facade is designed in the style of the Spanish colonial mission, and the interior was designed in the style of King Louis XV. Gargoyles, cherubs, and faces run throughout the building. The theatre was built in 1929 by George L. Coleman for $600,000 and was equipped with air conditioning. Since then, the lights have never gone out. For me, it is a special experience to take a close look at the theatre. Steve, who guides visitors through the theatre, shows me the showpiece of the house. The mighty Wurlitzer pipe organ. The organ was designed in 1928 with 3 manuals and 13 registers and installed here 1 year later. It has a breathtaking sound. Steve brings me on stage where I can thank my audience. He leads me backstage to the rope pulleys and the lighting system. The theatre developed from a variety theatre into a cinema. It's huge, and I follow Steve into the dressing rooms backstage. There were ballets, operas, country and western acts here. The Wurlitzer organ provided music to accompany the silent films. Steve tells me who all had their makeup done before his performance. Doris Day, John Wayne, Bob Hope, Cary Grant, Will Rogers, the magician Blackstone, for whom even trapdoors had to be installed, and now also Babette von Rocky. The auditorium has space for 1,600 spectators. At the opening, visitors paid $1 each to enter. Under the stage, there is a lounge with a green floor. The room serves as a preparation room for the artists. It is also known as the green room. The name comes from the early days when the color green was traditionally used. It is said to have a calming and relaxing effect. The eyes also have the opportunity to relax here from the bright red spotlights. From the very bottom, you go up the mahogany staircase. The chandelier comes from Italy, from Venice. Even from up here, visitors can fully enjoy the Wurlitzer organ with its pipes, percussion, and musical effects. I can't find the words. A few more steps and we are in the screening room. In addition to the latest projection technology, there is also the original silent film projector. Steve explains to me that the 6 rockets from Germany performed at the opening. The 6 Rockets was a German acrobatic troupe consisting exclusively of girls and had a successful tour of variety shows, especially in the USA. Outside of the tour, the troupe was managed from Leipzig. The entire space can be rented. Weddings, concerts, or watching a film on the largest cinema screen in the state of Oklahoma. All of this is possible here. Back to McLean in Texas. The Cactus Inn Motel at the end of town is run by Mayor Piggy Bear. It was built in the 1950s and opened under the name West Wind Motel. It still has the vintage charm of the past. Of course, there is a cactus garden here, which completes the attraction. Right after McLean, I find a section of the historic route. Right at the beginning, I see a sign saying "Road Closed." This is how travelers can recognize the historic route. This is where the Ford Model T drove back then, and later the vintage classics. These gas station relics along Route 66 are important cultural symbols of the history and charm of this famous road through the USA. They remind us of a time when traveling on the road was still an adventure and gas stations played an important role in the lives of travelers. There are many vintage gas stations that have been preserved as part of the road's rich cultural heritage. Some of these stations have been restored and now serve as museums, souvenir shops, or restaurants, while others are still in operation. Unfortunately, I also saw many relics along my route. They stand as a symbol of the decline of many businesses along Route 66 after the construction of highways. This section of the route dates back to the early days. It's amazing how well the asphalt has been preserved despite all these years. Along Route 66, travelers can still see some road closed signs that indicate sections of the road that are closed due to construction, maintenance, or other reasons. My path leads me to Allenred. Like many other cemeteries, this cemetery has a long history and reflects the culture of the region. Visitors can often see gravestones and monuments that point to the past of the town and its residents. The first burial took place in 1890, and the cemetery is the oldest in Texas. There are around 550 graves here. A special feature of cemeteries in the USA is that visitors can drive into them with their cars. If you are in the area and have an interest in local history, a visit to Allenred Cemetery can be an interesting experience. At this intersection, historic Route 66 turned west. There is a historic gas station right here. The 66 Super Service Station sold Texaco fuel. Right next to it is the Red Brick Building, a warehouse belonging to the Merritt Company, which sold animal feed until 1952. This restored vintage gas station was built by Bradley Kaiser. Inside, there are still original fittings from the good old days. The rolling table, tires mounted on a wire spoke wheel, and the men's room. The name Allenred comes from two building contractors who had a notorious saloon brawl. Allen and Reed were their names, from which the town name was derived. The gas station has two separate canopies and a low brick ceramic hip roof. There are still original Texaco gas pumps from the 50s in place. It is an almost ghostly place. Right behind the gas station is the Longhorn Campground. The church next door is the oldest church on the Texas section of Route 66. It was built in 1904. It was the first Baptist congregation. Locals also call it the Baptist Church. I would have loved to show you the inside. When the interstate was built, it bypassed Allenrid and became a ghost town. There is one attraction that is still open, however, the travel center with post office. The Crockett service station also has a motel and has been in operation since 1965. The historic Allenrid prison still stands in front of the trading post. The occupants did not have much space. After having seen the highlights in front of the travel center, I also want to see it from the inside, because there is supposed to be another special attraction there. Drinks here range from cola to various wines. Texas is nicknamed the Lone Star State because its flag has only one star. That was the last one in prison. Unfortunately, he didn't survive. So that is the last convicted criminal. Snike Oil Willie will now find his final resting place in a glass coffin. The name Snake Oil Willie is a derisive name for a product that has little or no real function, but was marketed as a miracle cure for many problems. Travelers will definitely find souvenirs here. Next door is a motel with murals. The washroom is in an adjacent building. The hand shows the way. I take the unpaved historic Route 66 and continue west. When I reach solid asphalt again, I continue on to Groom. Groom's main industry was cattle ranching. When Route 66 was built, another source of income developed, namely pulling stranded vehicles out of the mud. All westbound travelers breathed a sigh of relief when they reached Groom. They were the heroes who could now boast about their history, while those heading east had the worst yet to come. A special water tower here in Groom is a landmark of Route 66. No, it wasn't me who made the tower lean like that. It wasn't my girl power, nor did the ground give way here. No, it's just a marketing gimmick, and it wasn't the British either. It's just the name of the owner. The water tower was brought into a leaning position with a bulldozer. The owner simply wanted to encourage travelers to stop at his tower restaurant, which was located shortly after the tower. Unfortunately, the restaurant burned down completely in a devastating fire. Ralph Britton bought a disused water tower back then. Supposedly it was a bet. According to local law, the tower was supposed to supply water to Ralph Britton's truck stop starting in the 1980s. He bought it from the nearby Texas town of Lafers and transported it to Groom in one piece. However, after realizing there was a simpler water storage solution, he decided to use the tower in a different way instead, simply as a showcase for his restaurant. The restaurant's former space is now occupied by an auto repair shop. Today, it is one of the most iconic Texas roadside sites I have ever seen. It can be seen from far away as it is just flat here in Texas. In Groom, there is an impressive religious sculpture called the Cross of Our Lord Jesus Christ. It can be seen from over 20 miles away. This huge cross sculpture is about 19 stories or 70 meters high and was created by a local artist named Steve Thomas. The cross is one of the largest Christian symbols in the United States and attracts visitors from all over the world. But it is not just the cross that is impressive, but also the complete stations of the cross, which are built around the cross. Life-sized bronze statues depict the 14 stations of the cross, the last hours of Jesus of Nazareth here on earth. This Christian site near Interstate 40 is highly visible both during the day and at night. Many people visit the sculpture to pray, meditate, or simply admire the impressive size and beauty of the cross. The Last Supper is also depicted, and directly behind it, a staircase leads up to Golgotha Hill. There, the pilgrims stand at exactly 3,300 meters above sea level. Golgotha means place of the skull and is the name used today for the not exactly identified hill near Jerusalem. Jesus is said to have been crucified on this hill. Many Christians believe that Jesus was 33 years old when he was nailed to the cross. The goal is to share the truths of the gospel with all people. The cross was made in 1995 by 100 welders and took 8 months to make. Jesus was taken down from the cross and wrapped in a linen cloth and placed in the holy tomb, which was hewn out of a rock. From here he then rose again. I spoke to the person who built this pilgrimage site. He was disgusted by the huge posters and advertisements with sexist poses along Route 66. So he wanted to make a statement, and the statement has become very large.
I want to do something great for the Lord. Not just anything, but something big and great. And I didn't want to have empty hands at my judgment seat. I want to show the Lord that I loved him enough to do this. And so I built the cross in 1995. It's taken me 21 years to add everything around it, and we're still adding to it. So it's an everlasting tribute to our Lord. And that's basically why I built it.
The cross is dramatically lit in the evenings, and the gift shop is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In addition to the cross and the Stations of the Cross, there is also an abortion memorial, a sculpture of Archangel Michael, and the 10 Commandments. In the courtyard of the gift shop is the Fountain of Divine Mercy. At the end of the parking lot, where trucks and campers can also find a place to stay overnight, there is a building with an exact life-size copy of the Shroud of Turin on display. I learned that there are only 7 copies in the world.
Ich bin ja auf den Weg durch Texas jetzt schon an vielen Farmen vorbeigekommen. Die meisten züchten Rinder. Diese Farm hier züchtet Käfer, ganz besondere Käfer.
The Bug Ranch in Texas is an artistic installation supposedly created by the same artist who designed the famous Cadillac Ranch in Amarillo. Now Babette von Rogge will immortalize herself. Similar to Cadillac Ranch, Bug Ranch is a series of old cars half buried in the ground, spray painted with graffiti, inviting visitors to leave their own artwork. It is done, Babette is immortalized in Texas. Located in Conway, Texas, near Amarillo, the Bug Ranch is a popular attraction along Route 66. The installation is a humorous and creative interpretation of the Cadillac Ranch and attracts tourists traveling along the historic road. The bugs are stuck in the ground next to a former gas station and motel. The former resting place for travelers is now a tombstone of a family business. The idea for the Beatles was only born in 2002. The Longhorn Trading Post and Motel opened in 1967. The Crutchfield family opened an attraction called Rattlesnake Ranch next to the tourist stop. But even this attraction with the snakes could not prevent the tourist stop from going under. The family and the snakes moved on. Now I reach the city limits of Amarillo. A big cowboy welcomes me. The restaurant was founded in 1960 and has gained a legendary reputation over the years. It is located right on the historic route. Fancy a steak in a Western atmosphere? I already showed you the first bull from the Big Texan Steakhouse in the museum in McLean. This specimen is now the current bull and flagship of the restaurant. In addition to the restaurant, there is also a hotel with themed rooms, a Western bar, a souvenir shop, and a kind of amusement park. One of the most famous attractions of the Big Texan Steak Ranch is the 72-ounce Steak Challenge. In this challenge, participants must eat a 72-ounce steak and the side dishes within a time limit in order to get the meal for free and be inducted into the restaurant's Hall of Fame. So this is it, the most famous piece of Texas. If you can eat it in an hour, including the sides, it's all free. While I wait for a free seat in the restaurant, I look around a bit. So this is the list of people who have won the battle of flesh against man. The fastest participant managed it in just 4 minutes and 22 seconds. It was Molly Schuyler, a rather scrawny competitive eater. Then the time has come for me to take my seat. There is room for 450 hungry visitors and the restaurant is very noisy. I get a seat right at the front of the competition table for the steak challenge. In 1960, the owner R.J. Lee organized a 1-hour steak eating contest. There were 12 participants. The winner devoured 2 kilos of steak, baked potatoes, salad, shrimp cocktail, and a bread roll. Afterwards, he announced that anyone who could eat all of that in an hour would not have to pay for their meal. The challenge was born. I'm sitting at the front of the table where all participants in the challenge have to distort the 2-kilogram steak in front of the audience. They have 60 minutes to do it, but today no one dared to do it, and I certainly didn't, because if someone doesn't manage it, they'll have to pay $72 for it. If you want to read the rules, you can find them on the restaurant's website. Since 1960, over 93,000 competitive eaters have tried it. But the menu is more than varied, and I decided to go for something else. By the way, they brew their own beer and it was damn tasty. It's supposed to be one of the top 10 restaurants in the world. A Texan cowboy hat, which of course cannot be missing from my collection. After all the hustle and bustle, I enjoy the quiet ride past the still preserved neon signs along the route. A few kilometers further, I visit a museum that reflects the American wanderlust. Father Jack Sizemore and son Trent began collecting and restoring unusual vintage RVs over 25 years ago. They set up the museum alongside their main business of selling and repairing RVs and campers. The first Airstream trailer was designed and manufactured by Wally Byam in 1936. The Airstream Torpedo, as it was called, was a revolutionary design that was aerodynamically shaped and made of lightweight aluminum. This design allowed the trailer to travel more efficiently and use less fuel. The Airstream Torpedo was the beginning of a long tradition of high-quality and iconic RVs that continues to this day. Using a $5 blueprint and wood materials, the first Airstream was built and remained in the same family for 81 years. Airstream travel trailers are known for their stylish design, quality and durability, and are loved by travel enthusiasts around the world. The distinctive silver exterior and aerodynamic design have become trademarks of Airstream travel trailers. Many people appreciate the freedom and flexibility that an Airstream trailer offers to explore new places and live on the road. With an Airstream, travelers can travel in comfort without sacrificing comfort and convenience. The trailers are designed to provide cozy accommodations, whether camping in nature or staying at a campsite. Airstreams also have a loyal following of enthusiasts who love the design, craftsmanship, and history of these iconic RVs. Many owners organize meetups, rallies, and events to share and travel together. The Wally Byam's World Traveler was a special Airstream trailer designed by the founder of Airstream and was intended for travelers who wanted to explore the world. The Wally Byam's World Traveler was larger and more luxurious than the standard Airstream models of its time. It had additional amenities and features that allowed travelers to travel in comfort and style. The trailer was designed to be suitable for long-distance travel and to meet the needs of discerning travelers. The World Traveler is now a sought-after collector's item and can also be viewed inside. Overall, Airstream trailers represent a spirit of adventure, discovery, and the joy of traveling. They are a symbol of American road trip culture and have taken a firm place in the world of mobile travel. The Winnebago is a well-known brand of motorhomes that has been manufactured since the 1960s. In 1973, Winnebago produced several models of motorhomes that were popular with travelers and camping enthusiasts. A popular model from 1973 was the Winnebago Brave. A classic Class A motorhome with an iconic design and spacious interiors. It offered space for several people to sleep, cook and relax while traveling. This is the exact model that Jack Sizemore rented when he started his business with a standard gas station. 1 year later, he had 6 rental campers and founded Sizemore Travelland. Father and son have completely restored this 1966 Kenchill, including the spacious kitchen and the blue shower. The details date back to the time when the Kenchill was built. This barn find dates back to the Second World War. Alma was not restored and has been kept in a barn in top condition since then until today. The Spirit of 1976 was manufactured by Airstream. It was painted in this color to honor the soldiers who returned from Iraq. Each of the mobile homes and trailers on display here has its own story. Like this AMC mobile home that belonged to the owner, Max Factor Jr. There are real treasures here from the years 1930 to 1970. It's like traveling back in time. The RV Museum houses a variety of vintage motorhomes and caravans from different eras, including rare models and unique pieces. In addition to the RVs on display, the museum also features a variety of artifacts and memorabilia, from motorcycles to bicycles to race cars. I would like to introduce you to a special trailer. This Westcraft trailer is a kind of time capsule. It was used as a conference room in the defense during World War II. The interior is original, from the armchairs to the wooden radio to the picture of the battleship Sigourney. The ship served in World War I and World War II. 17 presidents signed the picture. This bus, called Happy Max, appeared in the Hollywood blockbuster RV in 2006. I saw it too and was impressed. In Germany, it is known as the Chaos Camper. It played a leading role alongside actor Robin Williams. The Koenig family drove this converted bus from 1948 in the film. Robin Williams first learned how to drive and maneuver a camper in a parking lot. The bus was converted especially for the film. Nothing is cordoned off behind a rope in the museum. Entry is requested. Visitors can walk through the museum and admire the development of the RV industry, which has accompanied people on adventure trips for decades. The caravans are decorated and equipped in a contemporary style both inside and out. In addition to the approximately 20 RVs and trailers, There is also a racing exhibition, from soapboxes to track racing cars and the Sizemore family's private motorcycle collection. The hours I was able to spend here were truly impressive. A farmer's wife joked with her husband, who didn't know what to do with his broken combine harvester, for which he couldn't get any spare parts, that he could just bury it. That was the spark that ignited the farmer's crazy idea. Combine harvesters are the Cadillacs of agricultural machinery. He planted 14 of them on his property. He then called the entire work of art Combine City. Unlike at the Cadillac or the Bug Ranch, visitors cannot walk between the combines and paint them. A barbed wire fence prevents the graffiti artists from marking the former workhorses in their own way. Combine City was created by the farmer Orville Laidhoff in 2002. For Orville, the idea was not just to simply bury the combines, but to bury them like a plant with the mower facing upwards. The place is also called the Farmer's Cadillac Ranch. In the state of Texas, artists somehow have an urge to place all works of art, such as the Beatles' Cadillacs or now the combine harvesters, at a 45-degree angle in the ground. Seems to be a magical angle. In the next episode, I visit the ultimate landmark of Route 66, the Cadillac Ranch. Arrive at the midpoint of Route 66, and in New Mexico, I find the most beautiful Route 66 monument,